Welcome, tired traveler. I am the sleepless historian, and you have finally found your way back to the quiet sanctuary of the Midnight Hearth, here at Story AI for Sleep. Before we step into the slow drifting currents of time, we must first unbind ourselves from the heavy demands of the present. The modern world you inhabit during the daylight hours is loud, urgent, and relentlessly fast. It pulls at your attention, asking for everything. But here, in this shadowed space we are building together, there is no urgency. There is no speed. There is only the slow, steady rhythm of the night, and the ancient, lingering warmth of the fire. Take a long, deliberate moment to feel the space around you. Feel the heavy, comforting weight of the blanket resting across your shoulders and settling over your tired limbs. Let it be an anchor holding you safely to the earth. The fabric is a woven shield against the cold demands of tomorrow. Beneath you, the mattress is a foundation of absolute, unwavering support, taking on all the weight you have carried so bravely throughout the day. You do not need to hold yourself up anymore. You are safe. You are secure. You are entirely weightless. Listen to the sound of your own breathing. Draw the air in slowly, filling the very bottom of your lungs, and let it go. And out. It is a slow, rhythmic tide, pulling you further and further away from the noise of the 21st century. With every exhalation, you are releasing the sharp, jagged edges of modern life. The bright, artificial screens, the endless chiming notifications, the metallic, vibrating hum of the city, they are all dissolving now, fading outward into a soft, formless, gray mist. In their place, the midnight hearth comes slowly into focus. Imagine it before you, a deep, soot-blackened stone fireplace, centuries old, built from river stones that hold the memory of water and earth. Within its iron grate, a bed of thick, glowing embers pulses with a rich, hypnotic amber light. The fire has long since burned past its roaring, chaotic peak. It has now settled into a quiet, enduring state of grace. Listen to the sound it makes in the dark. Crackle. Pop. A slow, rhythmic settling of wood turning to ash. It is the oldest song in human history, a lullaby of warmth, safety, and deep protection. The light from the hearth casts long, soft shadows that stretch across the wide wooden floorboards of our sanctuary. It paints the walls of the room in shifting, velvety shades of copper, gold, and deep, burnt brown. Breathe in the scent of this room. It is the rich aroma of dry oak wood, a faint, sweet trace of wood smoke, and the clean, quiet smell of a space that has been undisturbed for a very, very long time. You are drifting now. The hard boundaries between your room and the sanctuary of the hearth are blurring, softening into a haze of golden light and shadow. The embers act as a beacon, guiding your mind downward into a state of profound, unbroken stillness. As you settle deeper into this weightless calm, we prepare to leave the hearth room. But we do not leave its warmth behind. We carry it within us, a glowing ember tucked safely in the center of the chest, as we step across the threshold of time. We journey back, far back, sliding down the long, smooth slope of the centuries, to a world that exists now only in the quiet architecture of dreams. The amber light of the embers slowly dissolves, replaced by the cool, silver radiance of a moon hanging over the ancient Mediterranean Sea. The year does not matter. The century is merely a shadow on the water. We are arriving at the northern coast of Egypt, where the magnificent, sprawling city of Alexandria sleeps beneath a canopy of brilliant, diamond-hard stars. The air changes instantly as we approach the shoreline. It loses the confined, smoky warmth of the hearth and opens up into something impossibly vast, cool, and ancient. Breathe in the night air of this Ptolemaic city. It carries the sharp, clean, bracing scent of sea salt, the heavy, earthy, fertile aroma of the Nile Delta silt resting in the dark, and the faint, sweet perfume of night-blooming jasmine, carried on a wandering breeze from the royal gardens of the palace quarter. The city is a sweeping monument of pale limestone and gleaming white marble, but in this deepest, most silent hour of the night, the blinding white of the daylight has been softened into a dreamscape of silver, gray, and deep indigo. Far out in the harbor, the great lighthouse of Pharos stands as a silent, monolithic sentinel on its rocky island. Its massive bronze mirrors catch the moonlight and the glow of its own internal fires, casting a slow, sweeping rhythmic beam of light across the dark, churning waters. Wah, wah. The water strikes the massive stone quays with a steady, hypnotic rhythm, a sound that has remained unchanged for thousands of years. We move away from the edge of the water, drifting weightlessly through the empty, wide, colonnaded streets. The massive basalt paving stones are cool to the touch and slightly damp with the gathering midnight dew. There is no sound of iron-rimmed chariot wheels, no shouting merchants, no robed philosophers debating fiercely in the public squares. The city has fully surrendered to the stillness of the night. Before us, rising like a mountain of carved stone from the shadows, is our destination, the Great Library of Alexandria. It does not look like a single, simple building, but rather a vast, sprawling complex of sanctuaries, open porticos, and hidden gardens, all enclosed within high, protective stone walls. It is the intellectual heart of the ancient world, a sacred repository containing the memories, the dreams, and the poetry of countless vanished civilizations. Yet, tonight, stripped of its scholars and its scribes, it is simply a colossal house of quiet rest. We slowly approach the main entrance. Massive, towering columns of polished, pink Aswan granite rise up into the darkness to support a heavy, intricately carved architrave. Steps seamlessly onto the wide, shallow marble stairs. Even in your weightless state, you can feel the sudden, profound drop in temperature as we move into the shadow of the portico. The stone underfoot is dense, perfectly smooth, and deeply cold, retaining the chill of the desert night that surrounds the city. As we pass between the great, silent columns and cross the grand threshold, the acoustics of the world shift entirely. The distant, rhythmic sound of the sea is immediately muted, swallowed whole by the sheer, imposing mass of the architecture. The air inside the entrance hall is remarkably still. It feels heavy, almost viscous, thick with the invisible weight of uncounted centuries and millions of written words. The scent inside the great library is unlike anywhere else on earth. Breathe it in deeply. The foremost scent is the crisp, incredibly dry, dusty aroma of aged papyrus. Thousands upon thousands of reeds pulled from the Nile, woven, pressed, and dried into existence. Beneath that dry paper scent is the rich, sharp, resinous perfume of cedar wood oil. The librarians coat the edges of the scrolls with this oil to protect them from the damp sea air, and its aroma permeates every stone of the building. Lingering beneath the cedar and papyrus are fainter notes. The smell of old, cracked leather bindings, the dry scent of bone glue, the sweetness of beeswax, and the faint, haunting, smoky trace of myrrh from incense burned hours ago. It is the complex, layered scent of preserved time. We are standing now at the edge of the main hall. The space is vast, cavernous, and awe-inspiring, yet it feels intimately, profoundly peaceful. The ceiling is lost in the darkness high above, supported by row upon row of fluted limestone pillars that look like a petrified forest of pale trees. The only illumination comes from the high, narrow clerestory windows situated near the roofline. The moonlight filters gently through these rectangular openings, casting long, sharp, geometric beams of pale silver down into the belly of the hall. These beams of light strike the polished stone floor at severe angles, creating a slow, creeping, silent sundial that measures the passage of the night. Watch the dust motes drifting in the silver columns of moonlight. They move with an incredibly slow, random, weightless grace, floating on thermal air currents that are far too faint to feel against the skin. They tumble and spin in the quiet dark, looking like tiny, sleeping stars suspended in a breathless universe. Look to the walls. They are entirely lined with beautifully crafted wooden armaria, the great shelving systems of the library. Each wooden shelf is meticulously divided into small, square pigeonholes, and nestled within every single dark space is a scroll. There are tens of thousands of them in this hall alone. They rest side by side in the perfect dark. Some are wrapped carefully in fine linen covers, dyed in faded purples and earthy, iron-rich reds. Others stand bare, exposing their smooth yellow-brown papyrus edges to the cool air. From the end of each scroll hangs a small, delicate parchment tag, a syllabus, bearing the title of the work and the author. In the absolute ringing silence of this cavernous space, if you slow your breathing and listen closely enough, you can almost hear the rhythmic, silent pulse of all these words, all these ancient thoughts resting together. The sweeping epics of Homer, the cold, perfect geometry of Euclid, the lost plays of Sophocles, the maps of the changing stars, they are all here, asleep in their cedar beds. There is no need to read them tonight. In this deep, midnight hour, the accumulated knowledge of humanity does not demand to be learned. It only asks to be felt. The weight of all this history is not a burden. It is a heavy, woven blanket, thick and comforting, wrapping closely around you in the cool, still air. You begin to move, floating steadily down the center aisle. Your phantom footsteps make no sound on the polished limestone. You are a ghost, a quiet observer wandering through a sleeping forest of wisdom. The repetitive rhythmic geometry of the wooden pigeonholes, square after square, row after row, column after column, stretching endlessly into the shadows, is deeply hypnotic. It creates a profound sense of endless order, a perfect, unchanging pattern that soothes the restless mind and gently rocks the spirit towards slumber. The silver moonlight creeps steadily across the floor, millimeter by millimeter, marking the slow, inevitable, peaceful passage of the night. The rich scent of the cedar wood and dry papyrus surrounds you, forming a fragrant, invisible shield against the waking world. You are drifting deeper into the hall now, deeper into the silent architecture of dreams. The noise, the stress, and the bright lights of the outside world are gone forever. The fire of the midnight hearth burns warmly in your memory, keeping the chill of the ancient marble at bay. You are safe among the sleeping scrolls. You are weightless in the halls of Alexandria. The shadows are long. The air is still. The night is vast. And the journey inward has. We continue our weightless descent into the heart of the Great Library, moving steadily away from the silvered moonlight of the entrance hall. Here the air grows even thicker, more saturated with the scent of the past. As we drift further into the labyrinth of knowledge, the vast open spaces give way to more intimate corridors, narrow, towering canyons of cedar wood and stacked wisdom. The floor beneath us changes now. The plain, polished limestone of the foyer transitions into intricate mosaic patterns, cool and smooth. Even without the weight of a physical body, you can sense the textures beneath you. The minute ridges of the tesserae, the cold, hard seams of the grout, the ancient geometry of the patterns designed to lead the eye deeper and deeper into the silence. These mosaics depict the celestial spheres, the turning of the stars, and the flowing of the great river Nile, all rendered in muted tones of ochre, terracotta, and deep sea blue, now softened by the velvet shadows of the night. Listen to the stillness here. It is not an empty silence, but a layered, rhythmic presence. In the far distance, tucked away in a corner of the Hall of Philosophy, a clepsydra, a water clock, continues its tireless ancient work. Drip. Pause. Drip. The sound is a silver needle piercing the fabric of the dark. It is the heartbeat of the library, a steady, unhurried measure of time that has no meaning here. In this place, 1,000 years is merely the space between two breaths. The rhythmic fall of the water droplets serves as a lingering anchor, reminding us that while the empires outside might rise and fall, the steady pulse of thought continues unabated in the dark. Look closely at the armaria that line these deeper corridors. They are crafted from the finest Lebanese cedar, a wood so dense and fragrant that it seems to breathe. The grain of the wood is visible even in the dim light, a series of slow, swirling waves that tell the story of a tree that grew for centuries before it was ever touched by a carpenter's saw. Your mind drifts over the surface of the wood, feeling its oily, polished smoothness. The joinery is perfect. No nails, only the rhythmic interlocking of dovetails and tenons, a testament to the patient labor of craftsmen who believed that what they built would last forever. Each pigeonhole is a dark, rectangular mouth, holding its secret scroll. Reach out with your mind and sense the texture of the papyrus itself. It is not like the paper you know. It is a woven thing made of the long, fibrous strips of the cyperus papyrus reed. Feel the slight, rhythmic ridges of the weave, the horizontal strips laid over the vertical ones, pressed together by the weight of stones and the drying heat of the sun. The edges are slightly frayed, a fine, papery lace that holds the lingering scent of the river. On many of these scrolls, the ink is still vibrant. It is lamp-black ink, made from the soot of oil lamps mixed with gum arabic and water. It is an ancient chemistry, a dark, indelible stain of human consciousness. If you could unfurl one of these scrolls now, in the absolute quiet, you would see the rows of Greek letters marching across the page in rhythmic columns, like soldiers on a field of white. They are the thoughts of men who have been dust for 2 millennia, yet here their voices are preserved in the stillness, waiting, breathing, enduring. We move past the section of the Pinox, the great catalogue compiled by the scholar Callimachus. These are the lists of lists, the first great map of the human mind. The scrolls here are thick and heavy, bound in stiff leather covers that smell of tan bark and ancient oil. This is where the world was first organized, where the chaotic flow of human history was harnessed into categories: poetry, law, philosophy, medicine, and the stars. The order of this place is profoundly comforting. Everything has a home. Everything is in its right place. The weight of this organization settles over you like a warm mantle, easing the frantic, disordered thoughts of the modern world. Here there is a place for everything, and everything is at rest. The air in this corridor is cooler than the last, a refreshing dry chill that seems to clarify the senses. As we drift, the scent of the library evolves. The primary note of cedar remains, but it is joined now by a faint, metallic tang, the scent of the bronze rings used to pull the scrolls from their high perches. There is also the lingering aroma of lamp oil, a heavy vegetal scent of pressed olives, a ghost of the light that burned here during the evening hours when the scholars were still at their desks. Look up at the high, shadowed ceiling. The beams are painted with deep indigo pigments, sprinkled with gold leaf to represent the constellations. In the darkness, the gold catches the faintest stray reflection, a tiny rhythmic glimmer that mimics the true stars outside. It feels as though the entire library is a microcosm of the universe, a silent, enclosed space where the heavens and the earth are bound together by the thread of the written word. We arrive at a small, circular chamber, a reading room used by the most senior librarians. In the center stands a heavy table of dark, polished ebony, its surface as reflective as a black pool of water. On the table sits a single unlit bronze lamp in the shape of a dolphin, and a small ivory-handled stylus resting on a wax tablet. The wax is a deep honey yellow, smoothed over to erase the notes of the previous day. It is a blank slate, a field of potential, waiting for the return of the sun. The stillness in this circular room is absolute. The walls are curved, wrapping around you in a protective embrace. The scrolls here are of the highest quality, fine white parchment made from the skins of young calves, rubbed with pumice until they are as soft as silk. They are the most precious treasures of Alexandria, the foundational texts of science and soul. As you linger in this circular sanctuary, you feel the profound weight of the silence. It is a weight that does not crush but rather supports. It is the weight of millions of pages, millions of ideas, all holding their breath together. The rhythmic tink-tink of the water clock in the distance is the only heartbeat you need. It tells you that time is flowing, but you are standing still in the center of the stream. The moonlight has shifted now, the silver beams in the great hall moving further across the floor, but here in the heart of the library the dark remains constant. It is a warm, safe, velvety dark. It is the darkness of the womb, the darkness of the tomb, and the darkness of the deep, dreamless sleep. You are drifting slowly, steadily towards the end of this corridor, where a heavy bronze-studded door stands slightly ajar. Beyond it, a staircase of green-veined marble leads down into the subterranean levels, the vaults where the oldest, most fragile records are kept. The air that drifts up from the stairwell is ancient, colder, drier, and redolent of stone and time. Your mind is a scroll being slowly, rhythmically furled. The edges are soft, the ink is dry, and the story of the day is being tucked away into a dark, cedar-scented pigeonhole. You are no longer a traveler. You are becoming part of the library itself, a quiet thought in the mind of the night. The silver dust continues to dance in the distant light. The cedar oil continues to protect the sleeping words. The water clock continues its rhythmic measure. The staircase awaits, a descent into an even deeper stillness, a more profound forgetting. The marble is cold. The dark is deep. The library is... The bronze-studded door yields to your weightless presence without a sound, swinging back on hinges that have been oiled by centuries of patient care. Before us lies the staircase, a spiraling descent carved from rare, green-veined marble, imported from the distant quarries of Laconia. In the dim, flickering light reflected from the upper halls, the marble seems to pulse with a life of its own. The dark emerald veins move through the pale stone like subterranean rivers, frozen in mid-flow, twisting and turning in a rhythmic organic dance that leads your eye down and down into the cool embrace of the earth. Place your phantom hand upon the balustrade. It is a single continuous curve of stone, polished to a mirror finish by the palms of countless scholars who have descended these stairs in search of the world's oldest secrets. The stone is cold, not a biting, sharp cold, but a deep, solid, foundational chill that radiates upward through your arm. It is the temperature of unchanging time. As we descend, the air begins to shift. It loses the slight, salt-tinged humidity of the Mediterranean harbor and becomes remarkably dry, crisp, and still. This is the atmosphere of the vaults, a climate carefully engineered by the master builders to ensure that not a single fiber of papyrus or thread of leather is lost to the rot of the world. Each step you take is a deliberate, rhythmic movement deeper into the silence. The staircase spirals slowly, and with every turn the light from above grows fainter, replaced by a soft, ambient indigo glow that seems to emanate from the stone itself. The acoustics here are profound. In the upper halls, the silence was vast and airy. Here, the silence is dense and heavy. It presses against you like a weightless velvet curtain, muffling the echoes of your own thoughts. You are drifting away from the surface of the world, away from the tides, the winds, and the stars, moving toward the very center of the library's memory. We reach the bottom of the emerald stairs and emerge into a long, low-ceilinged gallery. This is the treasury of the first words. Unlike the halls above, which are lined with cedar armaria, the walls here are carved directly into the living bedrock, forming deep, rectangular niches. The scent here is ancient and elemental. It is the smell of cold limestone, of mineral dust, and of the dry, earthy aroma of clay. Move slowly toward the first niche. Within it, resting on beds of soft, undyed wool, are rows of clay tablets from the distant lands of Sumer and Akkad. They are small, palm-sized blocks of earth, baked hard by a sun that set 5,000 years ago. Run your mind over their surfaces. Feel the rhythmic, wedge-shaped indentations of the cuneiform script. Each mark is a sharp, precise incision made by a reed stylus into wet clay before it was fired. These are the ancestors of the scrolls, the heavy, durable foundations of human history. They tell of harvests, of temple offerings, and of the first laws ever written. Their weight is immense not just in physical mass, but in the sheer span of time they have endured. The stillness in this gallery is absolute. The air does not move. The dust motes that danced in the moonlit halls above do not exist here. The air is too still, too pure for even a speck of dust to wander. In this profound stillness, you can sense the rhythmic vibration of the earth, a low-frequency hum that is the heartbeat of the planet itself. It is a slow, steady, grounding pulse that synchronizes with your own slow breathing. And out. The earth holds you. The stone protects you. You are safe in the deepest cradle of Alexandria. Further down the gallery, the limestone walls are covered in meticulously carved hieroglyphs, painted in pigments that have remained vibrant in the darkness. There are deep blues made from lapis lazuli, vibrant greens from malachite, and rich, earthy reds from desert ochre. The figures move in a rhythmic, eternal procession across the stone. Kings offering lotus flowers to gods, scribes holding their palettes, and birds with wings outstretched in flight. The imagery is a silent, visual language, a song of the Nile that has been singing in the dark for millennia. The repetition of the symbols, the eye, the reed, the water ripple, is deeply hypnotic, a rhythmic pattern that draws you into a state of meditative calm. As we drift deeper into the vaults, we pass through a doorway framed in black basalt. This is the chamber of the star charts. Here, the records are not made of clay or stone, but of heavy, dark leather, vellum prepared from the skins of desert animals, stretched and cured until it is as tough as iron. These scrolls are enormous, their ends capped with silver knobs. They contain the observations of the Babylonian stargazers and the Egyptian priests who mapped the heavens before the first pyramid was ever raised. The scent in this chamber is different, sharper, more animalic, with a lingering note of natron and salt. It is the scent of preservation, of a deliberate battle against the slow decay of the ages. The leather feels cool and slightly waxy to the touch, its surface etched with the delicate rhythmic lines of celestial maps. You can sense the circles, the triangles, and the sweeping arcs that represent the paths of the planets across the night sky. In this subterranean dark, the maps of the stars are all that remains of the light. The rhythm of our journey through the vaults is slow and steady. There is no hurry here. Time has been suspended. The centuries have stacked themselves one upon another like the tablets in the niches, creating a solid wall of peace that shields you from the chaos of the waking world. Your mind is drifting, slowly furling itself like a leather scroll, protecting the quiet thoughts within. At the far end of the star chart chamber, there is a small, recessed alcove containing a single, solitary object. It is a small chest made of ivory and gold, resting on a pedestal of translucent alabaster. Within this chest lies a fragment of the oldest papyrus ever found, a rhythmic, poetic hymn to the rising sun, written in a script so ancient it is barely recognizable. The papyrus is a pale, honeyed brown, its fibers so fragile they seem to be made of light itself. Stand before the alabaster pedestal. The stone has a soft, inner radiance, catching a ghost of light from some unseen source. The scent of the ivory is faint and sweet, a lingering echo of the great creatures that once roamed the southern lands. Everything here is precious, everything is silent, and everything is at rest. You are moving now toward a final, heavy door at the very end of the subterranean level. It is made of solid cedar, reinforced with bands of darkened silver. Beyond this door lies the inner sanctum of the Museum, the place where the most sacred and secret records are kept. The personal journals of the kings, the hidden histories of the temples, and the prophecies of the oracles. As you stand before the door, the stillness reaches its peak. The rhythmic pulse of the earth is all you can hear. The weight of the stone above you is not a pressure but a comfort, a massive, solid shield that separates you from the noise, the heat, and the light of the sun. You are deep within the memory of the world. You are a part of the emerald stone, the red clay, and the dark leather. The silver bands on the door shimmer faintly. The cedar scent is a thick, fragrant wall. Your breath is a slow, steady tide, pulling you closer and closer to the threshold of a dreamless sleep. The library has taken you into its deepest heart. The stone is cold, the dark is deep, and the silence is eternal. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the silver-banded door of the inner sanctum yields to your presence with a heavy, respectful silence. As we cross this threshold, we move from the general archives of the world into the private, sacred memory of the Ptolemaic kings. This is the heart within the heart, the silent center of the Great Library where the most precious and personal documents are kept. Here the air is not just still, it is sanctified. It carries a weight that feels like a velvet shroud, pressing gently against your mind, encouraging a state of total, unmoving peace. The transition is marked by a shift in color and texture. The green-veined marble of the staircase and the limestone of the vaults give way to walls lined with polished ebony wood, so dark and smooth it seems to swallow what little light remains. The floor is composed of large slabs of black basalt, polished to such a high degree that it creates a perfect dark reflection of the ceiling above. Walking across it feels like walking on the surface of a midnight pond, a rhythmic, weightless progression over a mirror of the void. Look up at the ceiling of this sanctum. It is not painted with stars like the halls above. Instead, it is inlaid with actual silver and gold, depicting the lineage of the gods and the pharaohs in a continuous, rhythmic frieze. The metal catches the faint, ambient glow of the library, shimmering with a ghostly, subterranean light. The silver represents the moon and the cool logic of the mind, while the gold represents the sun and the eternal life of the soul. In this room they are held in perfect, silent balance. The armaria here are not made of Lebanese cedar, but of precious African ivory and rare, scented woods from the furthest reaches of the empire. Each niche is not a simple pigeonhole, but a small, individual tabernacle, closed with a silver door. Inside these silver-faced cabinets rest the personal journals of the Ptolemies, the kings and queens who dreamed this library into existence. These are not scrolls intended for the public eye. They are the private musings of rulers, the secret histories of a dynasty, and the confidential reports of the world's first true intelligence network. The scent in the inner sanctum is concentrated and intoxicating. It is the aroma of the most expensive oils and resins known to antiquity. Breathe in the heavy, lingering scent of frankincense and myrrh, which has soaked into the ebony walls over centuries of ritual. Beneath it lies the sharp, antiseptic scent of natron, used to preserve the most fragile of the royal papyri. There is also a faint, sweet note of lotus blossom oil, a fragrance that was said to induce a state of divine calm in the ancient pharaohs. This scent profile is thick and floral, yet grounded by the dry, earthy base of the scrolls themselves. It is a fragrance that anchors you to the deepest layers of history, a rhythmic scent memory that pulls you further and further away from the modern world. Move toward one of the ebony cabinets. Your mind senses the intricate carvings on its surface, tiny rhythmic patterns of lotus flowers, papyrus reeds, and the uraeus cobra, the protector of royalty. The craftsmanship is so fine that you can almost feel the rhythmic movement of the artisan's chisel, a slow, steady labor of love that took years to complete. This is the beauty of the library. Every object within it was created with a patience that the modern world has long since forgotten. Here, time is not a resource to be spent, but a medium in which to dwell. Within these royal scrolls, the papyrus is of a quality that defies description. It is as thin as a dragonfly's wing, yet as durable as parchment, polished with seashells until it has a lustrous, ivory-like sheen. The ink is not the standard lampblack, but is often mixed with powdered cinnabar for a brilliant, rhythmic red, or even with liquid gold for the most sacred of texts. These words do not merely sit on the page. They glow with an inner fire, a lingering radiance that seems to pulse in the dark. Listen to the absolute silence of the sanctum. It is so deep that you can begin to hear the internal sounds of the library. You can hear the rhythmic contraction of the ebony wood as it settles into the cool of the night. You can hear the faint, microscopic rustle of a silver door hinge as the building breathes. These are the sounds of a living organism, a great stone and wooden beast that is holding its breath, protecting the wisdom it contains. This silence is a cocoon, a safe and steady space where your own heart rate can slow to match the rhythmic pulse of the architecture. In the center of this sanctum stands a single high-backed chair made of solid silver, draped with a heavy cloth of Tyrian purple wool. Beside it is a small, three-legged table of bronze, holding a single unrolled scroll of astronomical prophecies. This was the private retreat of the head librarian, the high priest of knowledge who served as the bridge between the kings and the Muses. Drift toward the silver chair and sense the weight of the purple cloth. The wool is thick and densely woven, carrying the faint, briny scent of the murex sea snail from which the dye was harvested. It is a deep, royal color, so dark it appears almost black in the shadows. The texture of the wool is a comfort, a soft, rhythmic weave that speaks of warmth and protection. In your mind, you can feel the weight of this fabric settling over you, a heavy royal blanket that pins you gently to the center of the silence. The astronomical scroll on the bronze table is covered in complex, rhythmic diagrams. These are the star clocks of the ancient world, used to calculate the exact moment when the stars would align to favor the kingdom. The circles are perfect, the lines are straight, and the calculations are written in a small, precise hand. These are the rhythms of the cosmos, captured in ink on a piece of dried river reed. Looking at them, you realize that your own life is part of a much larger, slower pattern. A celestial rhythm that has been turning for millions of years and will continue for millions more. This realization is profoundly freeing. It allows you to let go of the small, frantic worries of your day and surrender to the vast, slow turning of the universe. As we linger in the inner sanctum, the moonlight from the upper floors has almost entirely vanished, replaced by the deepest dark of the pre-dawn hours. But in this room the dark is not empty. It is filled with the presence of the silver and gold, the ebony and ivory, the cedar and the papyrus. It is a living dark, a state of existence where every object is an ember of memory, glowing with a steady, quiet light. You are drifting now, moving toward a small hidden door behind the silver chair. This door leads to the most private space of all, the shrine of the Muses, the sacred grotto where the library truly began. The air drifting from this hidden opening is different again. It is damp and cool, carrying the scent of fresh water and living moss. It is the breath of the earth itself, rising up to meet the wisdom of men. Your mind is becoming like the royal scrolls, carefully furled, sealed with gold, and tucked away into a silver cabinet of the subconscious. The weight of the Tyrian wool is still with you, a comforting pressure that slows your breathing. The scent of the myrrh and the frankincense is a lingering lullaby, a fragrant path toward a dreamless sleep. The ebony walls protect you. The silver ceiling watches over you. The royal silence embraces you. Step slowly through the hidden door. Leave the history, the kings, and the words behind. We are moving toward the source, the quiet water from which all stories flow. The stone is wet. The dark is soft. The Muses are sleeping. You are drifting, steadily, slowly, into the profound rhythmic dark of the sanctuary. As we slip through the hidden door behind the silver chair, the dry, resinous world of cedar and papyrus vanishes, replaced by a climate that is profoundly different, yet even more ancient. We have entered the Mausian's secret heart, the shrine of the Muses. Here, the rigid geometry of the library gives way to the organic curves of a subterranean grotto, a space where the hand of man has worked in harmony with the slow, rhythmic movements of the earth. The air here is no longer dry. It is cool, heavy, and laden with a fine, invisible mist that clings to the skin like a damp silk veil. It carries the scent of the primordial world, the deep, mineral aroma of wet limestone, the green, peppery scent of living moss, and the incomparable purity of fresh, cold water rising from an underground spring. Breathe in this new atmosphere. It is refreshing and clarifying, a cool draft that seems to wash away the last lingering dust of the upper world. The temperature has dropped further, settling into a constant, subterranean chill that is remarkably soothing. In this space, the midnight hearth of our sanctuary is a distant, glowing memory, a spark of warmth that we carry deep within us as we explore the cool shadows of the grotto. The floor beneath us is no longer polished basalt or mosaic. It is living rock, smoothed over centuries by the passage of feet and the slow, rhythmic dripping of water from the ceiling. It is uneven but soft, covered in thick carpets of emerald green moss that cushion every phantom step. The moss is plush and resilient, holding onto the moisture of the air and releasing a faint, earthy perfume when pressed. In the dim, ambient light, the moss seems to glow with a soft, bioluminescent quality, a gentle green radiance that guides us deeper into the cavern. Listen to the music of this shrine. It is a symphony of water, played with a slow, deliberate rhythm. From the high, shadowed vaults of the ceiling, single droplets of water detach themselves and fall through the stillness. Tink, plip, go. Each drop strikes the surface of a central pool with a resonant, metallic clarity. The sound ripples outward, bouncing off the curved stone walls and creating a layered rhythmic tapestry of sound that fills the silence without breaking it. This is the lullaby of the Muses, a natural water clock that has been measuring the dreams of the library since the first stone was laid. In the center of the grotto lies a wide, circular basin carved from a single block of translucent white marble. Within it, the water of the sacred spring gathers, as still and clear as a sheet of dark glass. The moonlight from the distant upper halls cannot reach this place, but the water seems to have a light of its own, a deep, indigo shimmer that reflects the vaulted ceiling above. The surface of the pool is perfectly flat, disturbed only by the rhythmic impact of the falling droplets, which create expanding circles of silver that move slowly toward the marble rim and disappear. Surrounding the pool, standing in the niches of the stone walls, are the 9 Muses themselves. These are not the brightly painted statues of the public squares. They are carved from the purest Parian marble, left white and unadorned so that they seem to emerge from the shadows like ghosts. Each figure is captured in a state of quiet, eternal reflection. There is Clio, the muse of history, holding her scroll with a heavy, graceful hand, Calliope of epic poetry, her stone lips parted as if in the middle of a long rhythmic breath, and Urania of astronomy, her eyes turned upward toward the dark ceiling as if she can see through the solid rock to the stars beyond. Drift toward the statue of Clio. Sense the incredible smoothness of the marble. It has been polished until it feels like frozen cream, yet it retains the deep, foundational cold of the earth. The folds of her robes fall in heavy rhythmic stone waves, a static movement that mirrors the flow of the water in the basin. Her presence is a comfort, a silent promise that the stories of the past are held safely in the dark, protected by the stone and the silence. The scent of the grotto is deeply grounding. It is the aroma of the earth's hidden places, where the soil meets the rock. There is a lingering note of damp fern and the cool metallic tang of the minerals dissolved in the spring water, calcium, iron, and magnesium, the building blocks of the world. This scent profile is heavy and wet, a contrast to the dry cedar of the vaults, providing a sensory anchor that pulls your consciousness down into a state of deep, subterranean rest. As we linger by the pool, the rhythmic plip-plip of the water becomes a hypnotic pulse that synchronizes with your heartbeat. You are moving further and further away from the surface of your life. The concerns of the day, the noise of the city, and the heat of the sun are all impossible concepts here. You are weightless in the cool dark, a part of the slow geological time of the grotto. Here time is measured in the growth of moss and the erosion of stone. It is a pace that is profoundly healing, a rhythm that allows the mind to expand and then settle into a state of perfect, unmoving clarity. Reach out with your mind and touch the surface of the sacred spring. The water is impossibly cold, a sharp, clarifying shock that seems to still the last vibrations of the waking mind. It is pure, untouched by the world above, rising from depths that have never seen the light. This is the source from which all the scrolls in the library ultimately flow, the raw inspiration that the scholars and poets transformed into ink and papyrus. In this room, you are standing at the very root of human thought, a place of absolute potential and absolute peace. The shadows in the grotto are soft and velvet-like, wrapping around the white marble statues and the mossy walls. The air is so still that you can feel the microscopic weight of the mist settling on your phantom form. It is a gentle, rhythmic pressure, a cool embrace that tells you it is time to let go. The library above is a monument to what has been thought and said. This grind is a monument to the silence that precedes the word. You are drifting now, moving slowly around the perimeter of the pool. The green moss glows beneath you, a steady, pulsing light. The rhythmic dripping of the water continues, a silver thread of sound that weaves through the dark. You are no longer a traveler in a library, you are a drop of water in the spring, a grain of dust in the limestone, a breath of air in the cavern. Beyond the statues of the Muses, at the very back of the grotto, there is a low, narrow opening in the rock, a tunnel that leads even deeper into the foundations of the city. From this opening comes a sound that is different from the dripping water. It is a low, continuous rhythmic thrumming, like the sound of a great hive or a distant, subterranean machine. It is the sound of the earth's deep currents, the movement of the subterranean Nile as it flows beneath the city of Alexandria. Your mind is becoming like the pool in the center of the room, wide, dark, and perfectly still. The ripples of your thoughts are moving slowly toward the edge, fading into the smooth marble rim. The weight of the earth above you, thousands of tons of stone, sand, and history, is a massive protective shield. It holds you in place, safe and soundless, in the deepest sanctuary of the ancient world. The Muses are watching over you in the dark. The water is measuring the hours. The moss is breathing. You are drifting, steadily, slowly, into the emerald dark. The midnight hearth is now a tiny warm light in the center of your being, a star in the subterranean sky. You are safe. You are weightless. You are We leave the pale, ghostly grace of the Muses behind, drifting steadily into the low, narrow tunnel that beckons from the back of the grotto. This is the passage into the very foundations of Alexandria, the place where the dreams of the architects meet the bones of the earth. As we enter the tunnel, the space constricts, wrapping around us with a heavy, comforting closeness. The walls here are no longer dressed in fine marble or carved with elegant script. They are composed of massive, rough-hewn blocks of dark basalt and granite, chosen for their strength and their ability to withstand the immense pressure of the city above. The texture of the stone here is damp and cool. Reach out with your mind and feel the surface of the basalt. It is slick with a fine film of condensation, smooth as a river pebble but etched with the rhythmic, jagged marks of the mason's chisel, scars from a labor that took place under the earth, far from the warmth of the Egyptian sun. The air is remarkably heavy here, saturated with the scent of wet iron, cold silt, and the deep, mineral breath of the subterranean Nile. It is a scent that feels old in a way that the upper library did not. This is the scent of the world before the first book was written, the smell of the raw, unrefined elements that anchor the civilization above. Listen to the sound that fills this tunnel. It is a low, continuous, rhythmic thrumming, a sound so deep it is felt in the marrow of the bones rather than heard by the ears. It is the heartbeat of Alexandria. Beneath the streets, beneath the palaces, and beneath the Great Library itself, lies a vast network of vaulted cisterns and aqueducts, an underground mirror of the city's grandeur. The sound we hear is the rhythmic movement of water, millions of gallons of Nile water flowing through stone channels, feeding the city's thirst and keeping the air of the library cool and moist. The thrumming is steady, unhurried, and eternal. It is the sound of life being sustained in the dark, a rhythmic pulse that grounds your consciousness in a state of profound, unwavering stability. As we drift deeper, the tunnel opens into a massive, subterranean chamber, the vault of the foundation stones. Here, the ceiling is supported by pillars of such immense girth that they seem like the trunks of stone giants. These are the stones that bear the weight of the millions of scrolls above. The geometry here is simple and monumental, a rhythmic repetition of arch and pillar that creates a sense of absolute, unshakable security. In this chamber, the weight of the world is not a burden, it is a shield. You are beneath the reach of the storms, beneath the reach of the tides, and beneath the reach of time itself. You are resting in the very root of the mountain. The light in this vault is a deep, velvety indigo, filtered down through narrow air vents that connect to the upper courtyards. Occasionally, a single stray beam of moonlight finds its way down these long stone throats, appearing on the floor as a pale, rhythmic circle of silver. These circles of light do not illuminate the room so much as they emphasize the vastness of the darkness around them. Watch the slow, rhythmic pulsing of the light as the clouds pass over the moon far above. It is a silent, celestial breath, reaching down into the depths to remind the stone of the sky. In the center of this chamber, tucked between two massive foundation pillars, lies the archive of the unspoken. Unlike the cedar pigeonholes of the upper halls, the records here are kept in heavy stone sarcophagi made of black diorite. These are the scrolls that were deemed too fragile, too sacred, or too dangerous for the public eye. They are the untranslated tongues of lost desert tribes, the secret maps of the underworld, and the forbidden astronomical calculations that predict the end of empires. They rest in the dark, sealed away in stone, protected by the cool, damp silence of the earth. The scent in this part of the vault is sharper, more primal. It is the aroma of damp earth and ancient minerals, with a lingering note of cedar resin that has traveled down through the stones from the halls above. This scent profile is incredibly grounding, a sensory anchor that pulls you further into the midnight hearth of your own internal stillness. The warmth of that hearth is a steady, glowing coal in your chest, a contrast to the damp chill of the foundation stones. You are safe in the balance between the two. Drift toward one of the diorite sarcophagi. The stone is impossibly hard, polished by the hands of the underground keepers until it shines like dark water. On its lid there are no words, only a single rhythmic carving of a coiled serpent, the symbol of eternal hidden knowledge. The serpent's coils create a hypnotic, repeating pattern that leads your mind into a spiral of quiet reflection. You are no longer interested in the words inside the stone, you are only interested in the weight of the stone itself. The density of the diorite is a comfort, a solid, unmoving presence that anchors you to the center of the night. The rhythmic thrumming of the water channels is louder here, a resonant hum that seems to make the very air vibrate. Pulse. It is the sound of a great machine at rest, a sleeping power that is both vast and gentle. This rhythm becomes your own rhythm. Your breathing slows to match the pulse of the Nile. Your thoughts move with the slow, steady flow of the water through the basalt pipes. You are drifting on a subterranean river of peace, moving effortlessly through the dark. As we linger in the vault of the foundation stones, the stillness reaches a new depth. The silence of the upper library was a silence of thought. This is a silence of being. Here you do not need to think or remember or dream. You only need to exist, a weightless presence in the heart of the stone. The foundation stones hold you. The water pulse soothes you. The dark indigo shadows embrace you. In the distance, at the far edge of the vault, we see the beginning of another staircase. But this one does not lead down. It leads up, spiraling toward a different part of the complex, the Royal Observatory where the stone meets the stars. The air drifting from that staircase is different. It is no longer damp and earthy. It is dry, cold, and carries the faint, crystalline scent of the high desert. It is the breath of the cosmos, reaching down to call us back toward the light. But for now we remain in the deep. We linger in the rhythmic thrum of the foundation, letting the weight of the city press us gently into a state of total, unmoving rest. Your mind is like the black diorite, cool, solid, and silent. Your story is being kept safe in a stone sarcophagus of the subconscious, sealed with the rhythmic pattern of the serpent. The water continues its eternal journey. The stone giants continue their eternal watch. The darkness is thick and velvet soft. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the subterranean pulse. The midnight hearth glows warmly within, a tiny golden sun in the center of the granite world. You are safe. You are secure. You are weightless in the foundations of Alexandria. We turn away from the heavy, damp embrace of the foundations and begin our ascent. The staircase before us is a masterpiece of precision, carved from silver-gray granite that sparkles with microscopic flakes of mica. Unlike the wide, ceremonial stairs of the entrance or the mossy, organic descent to the grotto, these steps are narrow, steep, and functional. They spiral upward with a rhythmic, mathematical certainty, winding like the interior of a great seashell toward the highest point of the library complex, the Royal Observatory. With every step we take, the air undergoes a profound transformation. The heavy, mineral-scented moisture of the subterranean Nile begins to evaporate, replaced by a draft that is increasingly dry, sharp, and cold. It is the breath of the high desert and the open sea, filtered through the stone lungs of the tower. Breathe in this new atmosphere. It is crisp and exhilarating, a scent of pure ozone, dried salt, and the faint, cold dust of the cosmos. As we rise, the midnight hearth within you remains a steady, glowing coal, providing a necessary anchor of warmth as the temperature around us drops into the crystalline chill of the upper night. The texture of the granite beneath our phantom feet is rougher here, providing a secure grip for the astronomers who once climbed these stairs carrying delicate instruments. You can feel the rhythmic pulse of the stone, no longer the deep thrum of the earth, but a higher, lighter vibration, the resonance of the wind striking the tower's exterior. The climb is a slow, meditative process. And around. And around. The repetition of the spiral is deeply hypnotic, a rhythmic movement that further detaches your mind from the horizontal world of the city and prepares it for the vertical vastness of the heavens. We emerge at last onto the observation platform, a wide, circular roof open to the infinite canopy of the Egyptian sky. The transition is breathtaking. After the enclosed, velvet darkness of the vaults and the grotto, the sky feels impossibly large, a deep, bruised purple-black that stretches from horizon to horizon. The stars here do not merely twinkle, they blaze with a cold, steady light, appearing so close and so numerous that it feels as though you could reach out and pluck them like silver fruit from a celestial vine. The platform is a forest of bronze and stone. Huge, skeletal instruments rise up against the stars, armillary spheres, astrolabes, and massive quadrant walls, all crafted from dark, weathered bronze. Listen to the music of this high place. It is the sound of the wind moving through the bronze rings, a faint, rhythmic humming that sounds like the singing of a distant choir. Occasionally, a single bronze gear, part of a great tracking mechanism, shifts with a slow, deliberate click. Click. As it follows the rhythmic path of a planet across the meridian. It is a mechanical heartbeat, a testament to the human desire to synchronize the movements of the earth with the movements of the sky. Drift toward the center of the platform, where a massive armillary sphere stands on a pedestal of black basalt. The sphere is a series of nested bronze rings, representing the celestial equator, the ecliptic, and the paths of the wandering stars. Reach out with your mind and touch the cold metal. It is smooth but pitted with age, smelling faintly of verdigris and the high, dry air. The rings move with a heavy, rhythmic grace when pushed by the wind, creating a shifting cage of shadows on the stone floor. This is the architecture of dreams, at its most celestial, a physical model of the universe standing silent and still beneath the very stars it seeks to explain. The scent on this high rooftop is remarkable. It is the aroma of the night in its purest form. There is the sharp, metallic tang of the bronze instruments, the dry, alkaline scent of the limestone dust, and a faint, lingering sweetness, the smell of the cedarwood star charts that the astronomers unroll on their stone tables. This scent profile is ethereal and cold, a sensory anchor that pulls your consciousness away from the earth and into the weightless void above. You are no longer a creature of the soil, you are a creature of the light and the wind. In this high sanctuary, we encounter the legacy of the great watchers, men like Eratosthenes who stood on this very spot and measured the circumference of the world using only the length of a shadow and the logic of the spheres. In your mind, you can see him, a solitary figure in a heavy wool cloak, his eyes fixed on the rhythmic turning of the constellations. He does not see the stars as chaotic sparks, but as a vast, rhythmic machine, a clockwork of light that governs the seasons, the tides, and the fates of men. The order of the heavens is even more profound than the order of the library shelves. It is a perfect, unchanging geometry that offers a state of absolute mathematical peace. The silence here is different from the silence of the vaults. The silence of the earth was heavy and solid. The silence of the stars is vast and hollow. It is a silence that expands your mind, stretching it across the light years until you feel as thin and as wide as the night sky itself. The rhythmic click-click of the bronze gears is the only anchor you have in this ocean of space. It reminds you that you are safe, that you are grounded in the stone of the library, even as your mind drifts among the galaxies. Watch the stars as they move with a slow, rhythmic inevitability toward the western horizon. There is Sirius, the dog star, burning with a fierce, blue-white light. There are the seven sisters of the Pleiades, huddled together in a silver mist. And there is the steady red eye of Mars, moving along its predestined path. The repetition of these movements, night after night, century after century, is the ultimate hypnotic rhythm. It is a pulse that has been beating since the beginning of time, a steady, unhurried measure that makes the frantic movements of human history seem like the flickering of a candle in a gale. As we linger on the observatory roof, the cold wind begins to pick up, carrying with it a fine mist of salt spray from the Mediterranean far below. The sound of the waves striking the lighthouse island reaches us as a faint, rhythmic thud, a reminder of the water that anchors the city. But here you are protected by the height in the stone. You are a silent observer of the cosmic dance, a weightless presence in the temple of the sky. The scent of the cedar charts becomes stronger as a stray draft ruffles the pages of a discarded notebook on a nearby table. The ink is dry, the calculations are finished, and the astronomer has long since gone to his rest. The work is done. The stars have been mapped. The world has been measured. There is nothing left to do but watch and breathe. Your mind is becoming like the armillary sphere, a series of concentric circles turning slowly, rhythmically, around a center of absolute stillness. The midnight hearth glows warmly in that center, a tiny internal sun that balances the cold light of the stars. You are safe in the geometry of the night. You are secure in the bronze and the stone. In the distance, at the edge of the platform, another staircase beckons. This one leads back down, but not to the library's public halls. It leads to the peripatos, the covered, colonnaded walkways where the philosophers walk and talk in their sleep. The air drifting from that staircase is warmer, carrying the scent of blooming gardens and the faint, sweet smoke of the city's dying hearths. But for now we remain under the stars. We linger in the crystalline chill, letting the vastness of the sky press us gently into a state of total, unmoving awe. The bronze rings continue their singing. The stars continue their rhythmic march. The darkness is wide and full of light. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the cosmic pulse. The midnight hearth is your guide, a golden ember in the indigo dark. You are safe. You are weightless. You are at the edge of the infinite in the halls of Alexandria. We leave the cold, mathematical precision of the stars behind, drifting down from the observatory's height. Our path takes us into the peripatos, the famed covered colonnades that wrap around the library's central gardens like a protective stone embrace. This is the realm of the walkers, the thinkers who found that their most profound ideas arrived only through the rhythmic movement of their own feet. Even in this deepest hour of the night, the walkway feels inhabited by the lingering echoes of 1,000 years of contemplation. The air here is warmer than the rooftop, losing the sharp, crystalline bite of the cosmos and taking on the soft, floral humidity of the gardens below. Breathe in the atmosphere of the peripatos. It is a lush, complex fragrance that speaks of life in repose. There is the scent of sun-warmed marble cooling in the night, the sweet, heavy perfume of blooming night jasmine, and the resinous, sharp aroma of the Aleppo pines that line the garden paths. Interwoven with these is the faint, dry scent of dust, not the mineral dust of the vaults, but a lighter, softer dust made of pollen and thyme. This scent profile is deeply comforting, a sensory bridge that pulls your consciousness away from the cold infinite and back toward the gentle, rhythmic beauty of the earth. The architecture here is a masterpiece of repetition. Row upon row of fluted Ionic columns stretch out before us, creating a rhythmic perspective that pulls the eye toward a vanishing point of pure shadow. The moonlight filters through the spaces between the pillars, casting a series of long silver bars across the floor, a rhythmic pattern of light and dark, light and dark. As we drift through these bars of light, the visual rhythm acts as a metronome for your mind, slowing your thoughts to the pace of a slow evening stroll. The floor is made of large rectangular slabs of gray limestone, worn smooth in the center by centuries of pacing philosophers. Listen to the silence of the colonnade. It is a living silence filled with the soft, rhythmic sounds of the garden. You can hear the sighing of the wind as it combs through the pine branches, a sound that rises and falls like a slow, steady breath. Swoosh. Linger. Swoosh. From the darkness of the garden below, a single night bird calls out, a short, melodic phrase that repeats with hypnotic regularity. These sounds are not distractions. They are the background radiation of peace, a rhythmic tapestry that settles over you like a velvet cloak. Drift toward one of the massive columns. Reach out with your mind and feel the fluting, the rhythmic vertical grooves carved into the stone to lead the eye upward. The stone is cool, but it holds a ghost of the day's heat, a lingering warmth that speaks of the Egyptian sun. The texture is slightly porous, smelling faintly of the rain that fell yesterday and the minerals of the earth. In the gaps between the columns, you can see the garden, a dark, silvery sea of leaves, shadows, and the occasional glimmer of a marble fountain. The Peripatos was the heart of the Mouseian social life, where the greatest minds of antiquity, Erasistratus, Aristarchus, and Hypatia, walked and talked. In the stillness, you can almost sense the weight of their presence, not as loud, debating voices, but as a collective rhythmic hum of thought. This is where the ideas contained in the scrolls were first born, whispered into the air before they were ever committed to papyrus. The air here is saturated with the ghost thoughts of the past, a gentle intellectual pressure that encourages your own mind to let go of the specific and surrender to the abstract. The scent of the night jasmine is particularly strong here, a heady, sweet fragrance that is said to induce vivid, peaceful dreams. It drifts up from the garden in slow, rhythmic waves, carried by the rising heat of the earth. Beneath the jasmine is the scent of damp earth and the cool, metallic tang of the fountain water. This scent profile is a lullaby for the senses, a fragrant path that leads you deeper into the midnight hearth of your internal sanctuary. You are safe in the stone, safe in the garden, and safe in the dark. In the center of the walkway, there is a stone bench carved into the wall, positioned to look out over the entire complex. Beside it, a small bronze pedestal holds a sundial that is now useless in the dark, its gnomon casting only a faint, blurred shadow under the moon. This bench is where the weary scholar would sit to watch the moon rise over the library's roofs. Drift toward this bench and sense the stillness of the stone. It is a solid, unmoving presence, a seat of absolute rest. From this vantage point, you can see the rhythmic geometry of the library's architecture, the domes, the flat roofs, and the distant, glowing needle of the Pharos Lighthouse. Everything is in its place. Everything is at rest. The city outside the walls is a distant, fading memory, its noise and its lights unable to penetrate this sacred circle of stone. The rhythmic hiss of the pines becomes more pronounced as a stray breeze moves through the garden. It is a sound that reminds you of the sea, a distant, watery roar that is both powerful and peaceful. Your own breathing begins to synchronize with this sound. And out. You are breathing with the garden. You are breathing with the library. You are a part of the rhythmic life of the night. As we linger in the Parapatos, the moonlight begins to fade, and the sky takes on a deeper, more velvet-like indigo. But the colonnade remains a space of gentle light, the silver-gray stone catching every stray reflection. The columns stand like silent sentinels, protecting the peace of the walkers and the dreams of the sleepers. Your mind is becoming like the colonnade, a long, shaded walkway of thought, where the ideas move slowly and rhythmically through the bars of light and shadow. The specific worries of your day are like the dust motes in the air, drifting weightlessly until they settle on the cool limestone floor and disappear. You are left with only the rhythm of the walk and the scent of the jasmine. In the distance, at the end of the colonnade, a small wooden door leads to the scriptorium, the place where the scrolls were copied by hand. The air drifting from that door is different. It is drier, carrying the scent of fresh ink, beeswax, and the sharp, clean aroma of new papyrus. It is the scent of creation, of the slow, rhythmic labor of the hand. But for now we remain in the Parapatos. We linger in the whispering colonnade, letting the rhythm of the pillars and the scent of the pines press us gently into a state of total, unmoving calm. The night bird continues its song. The wind continues its sigh. The stone continues its watch. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the rhythmic dark. The midnight hearth is your steady anchor, a glowing coal in the center of the night. You are safe. You are secure. You are weightless in the halls of Alexandria. We leave the open floral breath of the colonnade behind, moving through a door of heavy, polished sycamore. We have entered the scriptorium, the birthplace of the library's soul. This is where the fleeting thoughts of the walkers were anchored into the physical world, where the rhythmic labor of the hand transformed silence into speech. As we cross the threshold, the air changes instantly. The humidity of the garden vanishes, replaced by a dry, sterile, and incredibly peaceful atmosphere. It is the climate of preservation, a warm stillness that smells of intellect and industry. Breathe in the scent of the scriptorium. It is perhaps the most complex aroma in the entire complex. There is the sharp, clean vegetal scent of fresh papyrus, still holding a ghost of the Nile's green life. Overlaid on this is the deep, earthy smell of the black ink, made from lamp-black soot and gum arabic, and the brilliant, metallic tang of the red cinnabar ink used for titles. There is also the heavy, sweet fragrance of beeswax, used to polish the wooden writing tablets, and the pervasive antiseptic scent of cedar oil that protects every surface. This scent profile is concentrated and scholarly, a sensory anchor that draws your mind into a state of focused, rhythmic calm. The architecture here is designed for light. Long rows of marble desks are positioned beneath high, arched windows, each desk slanted at a perfect angle to catch the morning sun. But in this midnight hour, the desks are islands of shadow in a sea of silver moonlight. The rhythmic repetition of the desks, each with its own stone inkwell and bronze lamp, creates a visual perspective that is deeply hypnotic. As we drift past them, you can sense the centuries of patient labor that have soaked into the very wood and stone of this room. Listen to the ghostly sounds of the scriptorium. In the absolute quiet, you can almost hear the rhythmic scritch of the calamus, the reed pen moving across the page. It is a slow, steady pulse, the sound of a human mind carefully recording the wisdom of the ages. There is also the rhythmic, heavy thump of the scroll presses, where new sheets of papyrus were flattened and dried. These sounds are not noises, they are the rhythmic heartbeat of history itself, a steady, unhurried pace that encourages your own breathing to slow and deepen. And out. The work is done. The pens are at rest. The ink is dry. Drift toward one of the long marble desks. Reach out with your mind and feel the surface. It is cool and incredibly smooth, but if you look closely, you can see the faint, rhythmic indentations where generations of scribes have rested their hands. Beside the desk sits a bundle of fresh reeds, harvested from the riverbanks, their tips sharpened to a fine, precise point. They smell of dried grass in the sun. There is a profound peace in the tools of the trade, the simple, natural materials that allowed the ancient world to talk to the future. The scriptorium was a place of extreme discipline and rhythmic focus. The scribes did not rush. They moved with the steady, measured pace of a long-distance runner. Every letter was a deliberate act, every column of text a geometric triumph. This sense of order is palpable in the room. It settles over you like a heavy linen robe, pinning your stray thoughts to the rhythmic pattern of the desks and the windows. You are no longer in the chaotic world of modern distractions. You are in a world where the most important thing is the next slow, perfect stroke of the pen. In the corner of the room, there is a large bronze vat once used for mixing the deep blue ink made from lapis lazuli. The scent of the crushed stone is faint but distinct, a cold, mineral aroma that balances the warmth of the cedar oil. The vat is empty now, its inner surface stained with a rhythmic swirling of indigo, like a miniature galaxy captured in metal. Beside the vat stands a tall wooden rack holding hundreds of drying scrolls. They are held in place by small silver clips, their edges fluttering almost imperceptibly in a stray draft. The sound is like the rhythmic rustling of 1,000 dry leaves. It is a gentle, natural white noise that further detaches your mind from the world outside. You are drifting among the unfinished stories, the half-copied poems, and the silent maps of the stars. The midnight hearth, within you is a steady amber glow, a contrast to the cool, scholarly dark of the scriptorium. You are safe in the knowledge that every thought worth keeping has been recorded here. The weight of the library is not just the weight of the stone, but the weight of the effort, the rhythmic, patient effort of the human spirit. This realization brings a sense of profound, weary satisfaction. You can let go now because the scribes have taken the watch. As we linger in the scriptorium, the moonlight moves across the marble desks, silvering the inkwells and the bronze lamps. The room feels like a temple of the hand, a sacred space where the physical and the intellectual are bound together. The silence is thick and protective, a warm, dry cocoon that shields you from the damp and the cold. Your mind is becoming like a fresh sheet of papyrus, blank, smooth, and ready for the silence. The rhythmic scritch of the ghostly pens is a lullaby, a steady pulse that leads you toward the edge of the night. The scent of the cedar oil is a fragrant shield, wrapping around your senses. In the distance, a small staircase of red granite leads up to the librarian's private study, the most intimate room in the entire complex. The air drifting from that staircase is different again. It is warmer, carrying the scent of old wine, dried fruit, and the faint, sweet smoke of a private hearth. It is the scent of a home within the history. But for now we remain in the scriptorium. We linger in the rhythm of the reed, letting the order and the patience of the scribes press us gently into a state of total, unmoving rest. The reeds are still. The ink is dark. The scrolls are sleeping. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the rhythmic dark. The midnight hearth is your guide, a golden ember in the center of the library. You are safe. You are weightless. You are at rest in the halls of Alexandria. We ascend the red granite staircase, leaving the disciplined, cool silence of the scriptorium for the most intimate sanctuary in Alexandria, the librarian's private study. If the great halls were the library's body and the vaults its memory, this room is its heart. As we cross the threshold, the air greets us with a gentle, enveloping warmth. It is a space designed for a single soul, a refuge where the monumental weight of the world's knowledge is distilled into the quiet comfort of a home. Breathe in the atmosphere of this room. It is rich, layered, and deeply soothing. The sharp, dry scent of papyrus is still present, but here it is softened by the sweet, dark aroma of aged wine and the earthy fragrance of dried figs resting in a ceramic bowl. Overlaid on everything is the nostalgic, comforting scent of a slow-burning hearth. The wood used here is applewood, which gives off a faint, fruity sweetness as it turns to silver ash. This scent profile is the essence of Midnight Hearth, a sensory embrace that signals to your mind that the journey is nearly complete, and it is safe to finally let go. The architecture of the study is circular, wrapping around you like a stone hug. The walls are lined with shelves of dark, polished mahogany, a wood imported from the mysterious lands to the south. These shelves do not hold thousands of scrolls, but only a few hundred, the personal favorites of the head librarian. The books here are bound in the finest Moroccan leather, dyed in shades of deep crimson and forest green, their spines embossed with gold leaf that catches the rhythmic pulse of the dying fire. Listen to the heartbeat of this room. On a small table of inlaid ivory sits an elaborate brass clock, a gift from the mechanics of the Muses. It does not drip like the water clocks below. Instead, it moves with a rhythmic, metallic tick. Tick, tick. The sound is steady, unhurried, and profoundly grounding. It is the rhythmic measure of a life spent in the service of wisdom. Combined with the slow rhythmic whoosh of the air being drawn into the fireplace, it creates a soundscape of absolute domestic peace. Tick, whoosh, tick, whoosh. Your breathing synchronizes with this mechanical and elemental duet, pulling you deeper into your mattress. Drift toward the librarian's chair. It is a large, high-backed throne of carved oak, padded with cushions of soft, unspun wool. Beside the chair stands a low table holding a single silver goblet and a half-finished scroll of poetry. The ink is still slightly damp in the center of the page, reflecting the amber light of the embers. You can sense the lingering presence of the scholar who sat here only moments ago, the weight of his body in the cushions, the warmth of his hand on the silver, the rhythmic movement of his eyes across the lines of verse. The fire in the grate is in its final, most beautiful stage. The roaring flames of the evening have subsided into a thick bed of glowing coals, pulsing with a deep, internal radiance. Watch the rhythm of the embers. They brighten and fade as if the fire itself is breathing in its sleep. The light they cast is a warm orange gold, painting the mahogany shelves and the leather bindings in a soft, flickering glow. This light does not reveal the world, it obscures it, turning the room into a theater of shadows where your imagination can finally rest. The scent of the applewood smoke is a thin, silver ribbon in the air, a fragrant thread that binds the history of the library to the comfort of the present moment. Beneath it lies the clean, waxy scent of the beeswax candles that have just been extinguished, their smoke lingering in a rhythmic curl toward the ceiling. This is the scent of the end of the day, the scent of a task completed, a life well lived, and a mind ready for the dark. In this room, the sleepless historian finds his own reflection. You are no longer an observer of the past. You are a guest in its most private chamber. The weight of the 500,000 scrolls in the halls below is no longer a responsibility. It is a foundation. You are standing on a mountain of words, but here in the study, there is only silence. It is a rich, fertile silence that allows your soul to expand until it fills the circular room. The rhythmic ticking of the clock begins to slow in your mind, the intervals between the sounds growing longer and softer. The midnight hearth within your chest is perfectly synchronized with the hearth in the room. You are safe. You are warm. You are deeply, profoundly still. The walls of mahogany and the floor of red granite are a fortress against the world outside. The city of Alexandria, the sea, the stars, and the centuries, they are all far away, existing only as footnotes in the scrolls that sleep on the shelves. Reach out with your mind and touch the leather of one of the crimson books. It is cool and slightly textured, smelling of the earth and the sun. You do not need to open it. You do not need to know its secrets. The book is simply a physical anchor, a heavy, beautiful object that holds a piece of the world's soul. Its presence is enough. As we linger in the librarian's study, the last of the moonlight fades from the window, and the room is lit only by the rhythmic pulsing of the embers. The shadows grow long and velvet soft, reaching out to tuck you into the darkness. The scent of the wine and the wood smoke is a final, fragrant lullaby, a slow-moving cloud that carries you toward the edge of a dreamless sleep. Your mind is becoming like the dying fire, a bed of warm, glowing coals, settling into the ash of the day. The rhythmic ticking of the clock is a fading echo. The weight of the oak chair is a memory. In the corner of the room, a small, silk-curtained doorway leads to the sleeping quarters, the final destination of our journey. The air drifting from behind the silk is cool and smells of fresh linen and lavender. It is the scent of the end of the story. But for now we remain by the hearth. We linger in the librarian's study, letting the warmth of the applewood and the rhythm of the embers press us gently into a state of total, unmoving surrender. The fire is breathing. The clock is counting. The library is at rest. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the amber dark. The midnight hearth is your home. You are safe. You are weightless. You are at peace in the heart of Alexandria. We move away from the glowing amber heart of the study, drifting toward the small doorway draped in heavy midnight blue silk. As we pass through the curtains, the fabric brushes against our phantom form with a rhythmic liquid hiss, a sound as soft as a sigh, as light as a falling leaf. We have entered the sleeping quarters of the Great Library, the final destination in our long journey through the halls of Alexandria. Here, the intellectual fire of the day is finally extinguished, replaced by a profound rhythmic stillness that is engineered solely for the purpose of absolute rest. Breathe in the atmosphere of this private chamber. The complex, resinous scents of the library, the cedar, the papyrus, the old leather, have faded into a distant memory. Here the air is dominated by the clean, sharp, and incredibly soothing fragrance of dried lavender, harvested from the hills of the Mediterranean and tucked into small linen sachets. Beneath the lavender is the scent of the sun itself, captured in the fibers of the white linen sheets that have been dried in the open air of the courtyard. There is a faint, sweet trace of honey wax from a single low-burning candle, and the cool, neutral scent of polished limestone. This scent profile is a sensory erasure, a blank canvas that allows your mind to unburden itself of all images and all words. The architecture here is simple and unadorned, a rhythmic repetition of smooth, whitewashed walls and low, arched ceilings. There are no scrolls here, no bronze instruments, no maps of the stars. The room is a temple of emptiness. In the center stands a wide bed carved from pale sycamore wood, its legs shaped like the paws of a sleeping lion. The bed is piled high with mattresses of softest wool and layers of fine Egyptian cotton. The rhythmic geometry of the folded linens, square upon square, white upon white, creates a visual piece that mirrors the silence of the vaults below. Listen to the silence of the sleeping chamber. It is a deep, rhythmic, and heavy silence. The ticking of the brass clock in the study has faded to a rhythmic vibration that you feel in your chest rather than hear. From the garden far below, the single night bird has fallen silent, replaced by the rhythmic, microscopic chirp-chirp of a cricket. a sound so steady and so natural that it becomes a part of the silence itself. This is the sound of the earth breathing in its sleep, a rhythmic pulse that tells you the world is safe, the watch is set, and there is nothing left for you to do but drift. Drift toward the sycamore bed. Sense the incredible softness of the linens. They are not like the textiles of the modern world. They are heavy, substantial, and cool to the touch. Each thread was spun by hand, a rhythmic labor of the spindle and the loom that took months to complete. In your mind, you can feel the weight of these sheets settling over you, layer by layer, pinning you gently to the mattress. It is a protective pressure, a rhythmic tucking in that signals to every muscle in your body that it is time to surrender. The midnight hearth within you is now a dimming coal, its warmth spreading outward through your limbs until you are the same temperature as the room. You are no longer a traveler. You are becoming the bed, the stone, and the silence. The rhythmic swish of the silk curtains in a stray draft is the only movement in the room. A slow, hypnotic waving that mimics the movement of seaweed in a deep, dark ocean. In this room, the history of Alexandria finally comes to an end. The 500,000 scrolls, the maps of the stars, the equations of the mathematicians, they are all external to this space. Here there is only the rhythmic rise and fall of your own breath. You are the only scroll that remains to be read, and your pages are blank, white, and perfectly still. The weight of the library is no longer beneath you. It is around you, a massive stone cocoon that has been built over centuries just to protect this single moment of peace. The scent of the lavender grows stronger as you settle deeper into the imagined mattress. It is a floral weight, a fragrant anchor that pulls your consciousness down into the dark. The lavender is joined by the scent of the sycamore wood, a dry, sweet, and ancient aroma that speaks of the deep roots of the earth. This scent profile is the final lullaby, the last sensory bridge before the crossing into sleep. Watch the single candle on the bedside table. Its flame is a tiny rhythmic pulse of golden light, growing smaller and smaller as the wick drowns in the wax. The shadows it casts are long and lazy, dancing on the whitewashed walls in a rhythmic pattern that slows your heart rate. Flicker. Pause. Flicker. When the flame finally dies, the darkness will be absolute, a warm, velvet soft dark that has no bottom and no end. Your mind is becoming like the linen, woven, pressed, and perfectly still. The rhythmic chirp of the cricket is a fading echo. The weight of the wool blankets is a comfort that dissolves your very boundaries. You are no longer sure where you end and the bed begins. You are drifting into the white, silent spaces between the stars. The librarian has closed his books. The scribes have put away their pens. The stars have reached their zenith and are beginning their slow, rhythmic descent. The Library of Alexandria is holding its breath for you. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the linen dark. The midnight hearth is a fading spark. You are safe. You are secure. You are weightless in the final chamber. We drift out of the chamber of linen, not back toward the study, but through a high, arched window that opens onto the inner courtyard of the Muses. We are weightless, suspended in the cool, blue-shadowed air of the early morning hours. This is the courtyard of the sacred ibis, a hidden lung of the library where the scholars came to breathe the night. Below us, the geometry of the architecture gives way to the rhythmic patterns of nature. A perfectly square garden, quartered by narrow stone channels of flowing water that meet in a central, circular pool. Breathe in the atmosphere of the courtyard. It is a sharp, refreshing departure from the dry interior. The air is heavy with the scent of the Nile's life. The thick, green aroma of papyrus reeds growing in the channels, the sweet, intoxicating perfume of blue lotus flowers that have closed for the night, and the damp, earthy smell of wet river silt. There is a cooling touch of salt from the distant sea and the clean, mineral scent of the white limestone walls. This scent profile is rhythmic and alive, a slow, sensory pulse that clears the mind of the library's dust. The architecture surrounding the garden is a rhythmic parade of low, open arches supported by simple Doric columns. The moonlight, now leaning toward the west, hits the tops of the columns, creating a crown of silver light that overlooks the deep shadows of the walkway. The floor of the courtyard is composed of small, smooth river pebbles, laid in intricate, swirling patterns that mimic the movement of water. In your mind, you can feel the rhythmic crunch of the pebbles, a grounding texture that anchors your spirit to the earth even as you float above it. Listen to the rhythmic symphony of the garden. The primary sound is the water, a steady hypnotic trickle, bubble, flow as it moves through the stone rills. It is a sound of constant, unhurried motion, a rhythmic reminder that the library is not a static tomb of books, but a living, breathing spring of knowledge. In the central pool, a single large fish occasionally breaks the surface with a soft, rhythmic plop, sending silver ripples out to meet the marble edge. These sounds create a layered, aquatic lullaby that washes over your tired senses. Drift down toward the central pool. In the center stands a life-sized bronze statue of a sacred ibis, the bird of Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing. The bird is captured in a state of perfect rhythmic stillness, one leg tucked up into its bronze feathers, its long curved beak resting on its chest. The metal is dark, weathered by the mist to a deep, matte green, smelling of old copper and rainwater. The ibis is the guardian of the garden's silence, a rhythmic symbol of the patience required to truly understand the world. The midnight hearth within you has settled into a deep, internal glow, like a lamp at the bottom of a well. The coolness of the courtyard does not chill you. It only makes the warmth in your chest feel more solid and secure. You are safe in the balance between the stone and the water. The rhythmic hiss of the wind through the tall, feathery heads of the papyrus reeds is a soothing, natural white noise that further dissolves the boundaries of your mind. Sway. Rustle. Sway. In this courtyard, the scholars would walk in circles, their robes brushing the stones in a rhythmic shush-shush that mimicked the flow of the water. They were seeking the logos, the underlying rhythm of the universe. In the stillness of the night you can feel that rhythm. It is not in the words on the scrolls, but in the way the shadows fall, the way the water moves, and the way the air circulates within the square walls. It is a perfect, self-contained system of peace. The scent of the night-blooming lotus is particularly strong near the water. It is a thick, creamy fragrance that feels almost physical, a floral weight that pulls your eyelids down. Beneath it is the scent of the cool, wet stone, a mineral anchor that keeps you from drifting too far. This scent profile is the heart of Alexandria's night, a rhythmic breathing of the earth that invites you to join its slumber. Watch the reflection of the moon in the central pool. It is a perfect silver circle, broken only by the rhythmic impact of a single falling leaf or a droplet of dew. The water is deep, dark, and still, a mirror of the mind in its highest state of rest. As you gaze into the reflection, your own thoughts become like the water, clear, cool, and perfectly level. Your mind is becoming like the courtyard, a quiet, enclosed garden where the water flows in rhythmic channels and the ibis watches over the silence. The weight of the library walls around you is a comfort, a massive stone shield that protects this tiny patch of green from the vastness of the desert and the sea. You are safe. You are enclosed. You are weightless in the center of the square. In the distance, across the pebbles, a small iron gate leads to the Hall of Maps, where the world is drawn in lines of ink. The air drifting from that gate is drier, carrying the scent of sheepskin and old iron. It is the scent of the horizon. But for now we remain in the courtyard. We linger by the ibis, letting the rhythm of the water and the scent of the lotus press us gently into a state of total, unmoving calm. The water is flowing. The bird is sleeping. The moon is setting. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the garden dark. The midnight hearth is your steady light. You are safe. You are secure. You are weightless in the halls of Alexandria. Leaving the damp, floral breath of the courtyard, we pass through the iron gate and enter the Hall of Maps. This is the room where the world was first given shape and boundary. As we step inside, the atmosphere shifts from the organic warmth of the garden to a dry, intellectual coolness. The hall is a vast, echoing space, and even in your weightless state, you can feel the sheer scale of the room. It feels as though the horizon itself has been folded and tucked into this stone chamber. Breathe in the scent of the geography. It is a rugged, adventurous aroma. The primary note is the sharp, oily scent of tanned sheepskin, vellum prepared with lime and salt to endure for centuries. Overlaid on this is the metallic, briny scent of iron gall ink and the faint, dusty smell of pulverized minerals used to pigment the oceans in shades of lapis and malachite. There is also a lingering trace of salt spray, perhaps brought in by the seafaring captains who came here to consult the charts. This scent profile is vast and evocative, a sensory anchor that draws your mind away from the local and toward the rhythmic, repeating patterns of the globe. The architecture here is monumental. The walls are not lined with pigeonholes, but with massive wooden rollers and flat, stone-topped tables the size of small ships. The floor is made of dark, polished slate, which catches the moonlight and looks like a frozen black sea. Rhythmic rows of bronze lamps hang from the ceiling on long, silent chains, their shadows swaying almost imperceptibly in the draft. The visual rhythm of the rollers, column after column of vertical wood, creates a sense of immense, organized space, a library of the earth's very skin. Listen to the silence of the maps. It is a wide silence. Occasionally, a heavy sheet of vellum on a table, partially unrolled, settles with a rhythmic, papery thump against the stone. The wind outside the library, catching on the corners of the tower, creates a low, rhythmic moan that sounds like the singing of a distant sail. These sounds are not disturbances. They are the whispers of the world's edges, a rhythmic lullaby that speaks of the vastness of the journey and the safety of the return. Drift toward the central table. Spread across it is the oikoumene, the known world drawn by the hand of Eratosthenes. Reach out with your mind and feel the rhythmic texture of the vellum. It is thick, slightly oily, and holds a deep, resonant cold. You can sense the ink lines, the rhythmic curves of the Mediterranean coast, the long, straight spine of the Nile, and the jagged peaks of the Hindu Kush. These are the lines that humans have walked, sailed, and died for, now reduced to a quiet, rhythmic pattern of ink and shadow. Looking at the map, the world seems small, manageable, and profoundly at peace. The midnight hearth, within you is a warm, steady beacon, a contrast to the cold, ink-stained shadows of the hall. The scale of the world depicted here does not make you feel insignificant. It makes you feel protected. You are inside the library, the center of the world, and the maps are merely the records of the silence that exists beyond the walls. The rhythmic creak of a wooden roller settling into its notch is a grounding sound, a mechanical sigh that signals the end of the day's explorations. In this hall, the greatest navigators of antiquity stood in hushed awe, tracing their fingers along the paths of the monsoons and the currents of the great green sea. In the stillness, you can sense the rhythmic weight of their ambition, now stilled and resting in the dark. The air here is thin and clear, encouraging a state of mental expansion where your thoughts can drift across continents without effort, moving with the slow, rhythmic ease of the clouds. The scent of the tanned leather is particularly grounding. It is an earthy, animalic smell that balances the abstract nature of the maps. It reminds you of the physical world, the heat of the desert, the spray of the sea, the height of the mountains. This scent profile is a bridge between the dream and the reality, a fragrant path that leads you toward the midnight hearth of your own internal rest. Watch the silver moonlight as it glides over the surface of the maps. It illuminates a mountain range here, a river delta there, moving with a slow, rhythmic inevitability that mirrors the turning of the earth. The light is a silent traveler, crossing the ink-drawn oceans without a sound. As you watch its progress, your own mind begins to move with the same rhythmic grace, flowing over the world until it finds a place of absolute stillness. Your mind is becoming like the Hall of Maps, a vast, quiet space where the world is known, measured, and held in a state of perfect, unmoving order. The weight of the sheepskin and the stone is a comfort, a heavy blanket that covers the geography of your own life. You are safe in the center of the chart. You are secure in the ink and the vellum. In the distance, a small door of green-tinted bronze leads to the Hall of Medicine, where the maps of the human body are kept. The air drifting from that door is different, carrying the scent of dried herbs, resin, and the faint, clean aroma of vinegar. It is the scent of healing. But for now we remain among the horizons. We linger in the Hall of Maps, letting the rhythm of the lines and the scent of the sea salt press us gently into a state of total, unmoving calm. The world is drawn. The journey is over. The maps are sleeping. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the rhythmic dark. The midnight hearth is your steady anchor. You are safe. You are secure. You are weightless in the halls of Alexandria. We leave the vast ink-drawn horizons of the maps behind, passing through the green-tinted bronze door into the Hall of Medicine. If the previous room was the mind of the library, this is its breath and its blood. As we enter, the air undergoes a startling transformation. It is no longer dry and papery, it is thick with the medicinal aromatic vapors of 1,000 different plants. It is a space that feels deeply curative, a sanctuary where the vulnerabilities of the human body are met with the rhythmic, patient wisdom of nature. Breathe in the atmosphere of this hall. It is a sharp, refreshing, and profoundly cleansing fragrance. The primary note is the cool, bracing scent of dried peppermint and eucalyptus, which seems to open the lungs and clear the spirit. Beneath this is the deep, resinous sweetness of Egyptian myrrh and the spicy, earthy aroma of cinnamon bark and cloves. There is a faint antiseptic trace of vinegar and the clean, waxy scent of the beeswax used to bind salves. This scent profile is rhythmic and restorative, a sensory embrace that tells your body it is safe to let go of its aches and surrender to the healing dark. The architecture here is orderly and soothing. The walls are lined with thousands of small ceramic jars, alabastra, each glazed in a calming shade of turquoise or terracotta. They sit in rhythmic rows, their clay lids sealed with wax. On the central tables of white marble, bundles of dried herbs are laid out in neat, geometric patterns. Chamomile flowers, poppy heads, and sprigs of bitter wormwood. The visual rhythm of the jars, circle upon circle, row upon row, creates a sense of infinite care and meticulous organization. Listen to the silence of the healing hall. It is a gentle silence. In the quiet, you can almost hear the rhythmic, ghostly thump of a physician's pestle grinding minerals and leaves into a fine, healing powder. It is a slow, meditative pulse, the sound of a hand working in harmony with the earth. Occasionally, a stray draft causes a bundle of dried lavender or rosemary hanging from the rafters to rustle with a rhythmic, papery sigh. These sounds are a lullaby of the physical world, a rhythmic reminder that for every ailment, there is a leaf, and for every restlessness there is a route. Drift toward one of the marble tables. Reach out with your mind and feel the cold, smooth stone. Resting upon it is a scroll of Herophilus, the great anatomist. The papyrus is of the finest quality, its surface covered in rhythmic, delicate drawings of the human heart and the branching rivers of the nerves. These are the maps of the internal world, drawn with the same precision as the maps of the stars. Looking at them, you sense the incredible rhythmic complexity of your own being. Your heart, your breath, your very thoughts are part of a grand biological clockwork that is currently slowing down, settling into a state of profound repair. The midnight hearth, within you is a warm, steady coal, a companion to the medicinal scents of the hall. The coolness of the peppermint and the warmth of the myrrh create a perfect thermal balance within your chest. You are safe in the knowledge that this room exists to protect the spark of life. The weight of the ceramic jars and the marble tables is a grounding presence, a solid foundation that supports your drifting spirit. In this hall, the greatest healers of the ancient world sought to unlock the secrets of sleep and recovery. They understood that rest is the most powerful medicine of all. In the stillness you can sense their collective rhythmic intention, a desire to soothe, to mend, and to quiet the storm. The air here is charged with this healing intent, a gentle, invisible pressure that encourages your muscles to uncoil and your mind to sink into the mattress of the dark. The scent of the poppy heads is particularly subtle but pervasive, a dry, earthy, and slightly dusty aroma that is synonymous with the threshold of dreams. It drifts through the hall in slow, rhythmic waves, carried by the cooling night air. This scent profile is the final bridge between the physical and the virtual, a fragrant path that leads you toward the midnight hearth of your own internal sanctuary. Watch the silver moonlight as it reflects off the turquoise glaze of the medicine jars. It creates a series of soft, rhythmic dots of light that dance on the walls, moving with the slow, inevitable progress of the night. The light is a silent physician, visiting each jar in turn. As you watch its movement, your own breathing becomes a rhythmic, healing tide, washing away the stresses of the day and leaving only the clean, cool sand of the present moment. Your mind is becoming like the hall of medicine, a quiet, fragrant space where every thought is a healing herb, every memory a soothing salve. The weight of the marble and the clay is a comfort, a heavy, protective shell that keeps the world's poisons at bay. You are safe in the center of the sanctuary. You are secure in the peppermint and the myrrh. In the distance, a small, heavy door of cedar wood leads to the chamber of poetry, where the words of the soul are kept. The air drifting from that door is different, carrying the scent of rosewater, honey, and old wine. It is the scent of the heart's song. But for now we remain among the herbs. We linger in the hall of medicine, letting the rhythm of the pestle and the fragrance of the leaves press us gently into a state of total, unmoving rest. The jars are sealed. The herbs are dry. The healers are sleeping. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the rhythmic dark. The midnight hearth is your steady anchor. You are safe. You are secure. You are weightless in the halls of Alexandria. We pass through the heavy cedar door, leaving the medicinal chill of the herbs for the final, most lyrical hall of the library, the chamber of poetry. If the previous halls were the logic and the labor of the world, this is its song. As we enter, the air softens into a warm, velvet-like embrace. It is a space that feels deeply personal, as if the walls themselves have absorbed the sighs, the longings, and the triumphs of unnumbered poets. Breathe in the atmosphere of this hall. It is a rich, evocative, and deeply romantic fragrance. The primary note is the delicate, floral scent of Persian rosewater, used to lightly scent the most precious scrolls. Beneath this is the thick, golden aroma of honey, used in the inks of the masters, and the faint, fruity ghost of wine that was once poured in libation to the Muses. There is the bass note of very old, very dry papyrus, which smells like sun-baked earth. This scent profile is a rhythmic lullaby of the heart, a sensory song that invites your mind to stop analyzing and start feeling the slow, steady pulse of the night. The architecture of the poetry chamber is more delicate than the monumental halls we have left behind. The columns here are slender, carved from white marble to resemble bunches of lotus flowers reaching for the ceiling. The armaria are not mere pigeonholes but are crafted from lemonwood and ebony, inlaid with rhythmic patterns of mother-of-pearl that glimmer like moonlight on water. On small, elegant pedestals of ivory, silver lyres and bone flutes rest in the silence, their strings and apertures waiting for a breath that will not come until the morning. Listen to the music of the poetry. It is a silence that rings with a rhythmic, ghostly melody. In the absolute quiet, you can almost hear the meter of the great epics, the dactylic hexameter of Homer, a rhythmic long short short that mimics the galloping of horses or the breaking of waves. It is a heartbeat of language, a steady pulse that has survived the rise and fall of empires. Occasionally, a silver string on a lyre vibrates in a stray draft, producing a faint high-pitched chime that lingers in the air like a fading thought. These sounds are the rhythmic breath of the soul, a pulse that draws you deeper into the mattress of the dark. Drift toward a central display. Resting on a cushion of Tyrian purple silk is a single scroll of Sappho, the 10th Muse. The script is rhythmic, flowing, and urgent, the ink a deep, shimmering violet. These are the words of love, of the moon, and of the quiet moments before sleep. You do not need to read the Greek letters. You only need to feel the rhythmic grace of the lines. They move like the tide, pulling your consciousness out to sea and then gently returning it to the shore of your own rest. The midnight hearth, within you is a glowing amber sun, the center of this poetic universe. The warmth of the hearth and the sweetness of the rosewater create a state of perfect, internal harmony. You are safe in the knowledge that every human emotion has been captured here, recorded, and laid to rest. The weight of the ebony and the mother-of-pearl is a luxury, a solid comfort that holds your spirit in a state of weightless grace. In this hall, the poets sought to capture the epos, the eternal story. They understood that words are not just information, but a rhythmic bridge to the divine. In the stillness you can sense their collective rhythmic peace. The air here is thin and sweet, encouraging a state of total emotional surrender. Your thoughts are no longer jagged or urgent. They are flowing, lyrical, and ready to dissolve into the ink of the night. The scent of the honeyed wine is particularly pervasive near the pedestals, a scent of celebration and of rest. It drifts through the chamber in slow rhythmic waves, carried by the rising warmth of the library's heart. This scent profile is the final floral bridge between the world of history and the world of dreams. Watch the silver moonlight as it dances on the mother-of-pearl inlays. It creates a shifting rhythmic sea of light on the walls, moving with the slow, inevitable progress of the stars. The light is a silent poet, writing its own verses on the stone. As you watch its movement, your own breathing becomes a rhythmic, poetic meter, a slow and steady verse that ends in the silence of the dark. Your mind is becoming like the chamber of poetry, a quiet, beautiful space where every thought is a line of verse, every memory a fading chord. The weight of the marble and the silk is a comfort, a heavy royal blanket that protects the heart's song from the noise of the world. You are safe in the center of the song. You are secure in the rosewater and the honey. The journey through the library is coming to its close. The scrolls are sleeping. The lyres are silent. The muses are at rest. The midnight hearth, of Story AI for Sleep has guided you through the stone, the stars, the gardens, and the songs. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, into the rhythmic dark. The hearth is a fading ember. The library is a memory. The sleep is a... We leave the scented silence of the poetry chamber, drifting upward through the highest vents of the library and out into the open night. We move across the harbor of Alexandria, weightless and free, toward the rocky island of Pharos. Here stands the final sentinel of our journey, the Great Lighthouse. It rises like a mountain of white marble, its 3 tiers, square, octagonal, and cylindrical, reaching toward the very stars we mapped in the observatory. Breathe in the air of the Pharos. It is the most powerful atmosphere yet. It is the scent of the open world. There is the sharp, bracing sting of the salt spray, the cold, clean aroma of the deep sea, and the heavy, resinous scent of the massive cedar logs burning in the beacon above. This scent profile is vast, heroic, and incredibly grounding. It is the scent of the boundary between the known and the unknown, a rhythmic bridge of fragrance that leads you toward the final threshold of sleep. The architecture here is monolithic. We drift up to the highest gallery just beneath the great bronze mirrors. The stone beneath our phantom feet is white granite, polished by the salt wind until it feels like silk. The rhythmic boom, hiss of the waves below vibrates through the entire tower, a deep, tidal heartbeat that synchronizes with your own pulse. Boom. And release. Boom. And release. You are standing on the edge of the world, held safely by the greatest structure ever built by human hands. Listen to the rhythmic song of the light. High above us, the great fire roars with a steady, sonorous thrum. The light it produces is caught by the massive, polished bronze mirrors and cast outward into the dark. Every few seconds, the great beam sweeps across the horizon, a rhythmic pulse of gold that cuts through the indigo night. Light and dark. Light and dark. This rhythmic strobe is the ultimate hypnotic metronome. It marks the passage of time without demanding anything of it. It is a beacon for the lost, but for you, it is a signal to finally rest. The midnight hearth within you is now a single perfect spark, a reflection of the great beacon above. The warmth of your internal fire and the cold spray of the sea create a state of absolute equilibrium. You are weightless in the wind, secure in the stone, and guided by the light. The city of Alexandria lies behind you, a carpet of sleeping shadows. The library is a silent fortress of memory. All the knowledge, all the poetry, and all the history have been gathered and put to bed. In this high place you realize that the story is complete. The lighthouse does not look back at the city, it looks out toward the infinite, dark horizon of the sea. It stands at the edge of the dream. The rhythmic movement of the light is a promise that even in the deepest dark, there is a steady path. You do not need to navigate anymore. You do not need to watch. You can simply let the rhythm of the waves and the pulse of the light carry you over the edge. The scent of the cedar smoke is a final, fragrant blessing, a woody, ancient smell that speaks of endurance and peace. It wraps around you like a heavy, warm cloak, shielding you from the vastness of the sea. This is the scent of the end of the journey. This is the scent of the threshold. Watch the beam of the Pharos as it glides over the dark water one last time. It illuminates the white crests of the waves for a brief, rhythmic second before returning them to the dark. Your mind is following that light, moving further and further out to sea, away from the stone, away from the words, away from the self. Your breathing is now the breathing of the Mediterranean, wide, deep, and rhythmic. The Midnight Hearth of Story AI for Sleep has brought you to the very edge of the world. The tower is solid. The light is steady. The sea is waiting. The flame in the beacon is settled. The mirrors are bright. The night is eternal. You are drifting, slowly, steadily, out past the lighthouse, out past the island, into the deep, rhythmic, dreamless blue of the infinite. Sleep now, traveler. The library is closed. The light is watching.